doing a special election show in for Mark Levin here, and we're talking to a lot of the candidates, talking about tomorrow's big primary, Al. And we've been batting back and forth over this U.S. Senate Republican primary, and now we're going to be joined by one of the candidates who is running. That, of course, is Orange County Assemblyman Chuck DeVore. Good evening, Assemblyman DeVore.
Good evening to you.
So why should you be the next U.S. Senator from California?
Well, I believe in the Constitution. I believe in limited government. I believe in lower taxes, and I've got a record to prove it, which you can't say about my two opponents. And I think I've got a big strength that Carly Fiorina doesn't have, which is that if I'm the nominee, and we're going to win this primary, if I'm the nominee, the discussion will be about philosophy. It will be about the size and the role of government. If Carly Fiorina, in the unlikely event that she becomes the nominee, we're already seeing how Barbara Boxer would go after her, and it would all be about Carly Fiorina's controversial business past. For example, when Fiorina attacked Boxer a few days ago on the issue of global warming versus terrorism, what's a bigger threat, Boxer immediately turned that around into being about Carly, not about the issue, by saying, well, how dare you attack me on terrorism, saying that I'm soft. You're the one that sold hundreds of millions of dollars of high-tech gear to Iran. And so you kind of see that between the Russian bribery scandal and the Lucent trial that starts this month for fraudulent accounting practices that she inaugurated, I'm thinking that if folks want to really have a good philosophical contrast between a small government, constitutionally oriented Republican and a big government, big taxing Democrat, then they're going to go with the contrast between me and Barbara Boxer, and I'm confident that we can win that in 2010.
Well, Assemblyman, I like you. This is Al Rantel. You know I like you. But let's talk about what Boxer will do to you. And it's not fair, but obviously they will. What they'll say is that Chuck DeVore is out of touch with California values because California is a left of center state, and that you are not electable. And a lot of Republicans may say, you know what, we get a guy who's unelectable. We got Barbara Boxer again for 6 years.
Well, the irony about that is that might be an interesting narrative if Carly Fiorina stuck to her initial beliefs and ran as a moderate. But she ran to the right and co-opted my positions on every last issue. So either she's a liar and really isn't a conservative, or if you believe her on this first week of June, then you have to believe that she's every bit as conservative as me, in which case that whole argument blows up because then she's out of the mainstream too.
Speaking of that, I want to ask you about her interview with Politico, because she was talking about the Arizona law, and she says that she's in favor of Arizona Law 1070, but she said, and I'll quote her directly, there has been a very unfortunate racist tone that has emerged in a lot of the discussion about immigration, and that's inexcusable. What do you think she meant when she said that?
Well, what she meant is she was buying into the whole Democrat line, hook, line, and sinker, accusing Republicans or conservatives who simply want to enforce the law of somehow being racist. And the last time I looked, illegal is not a race.
I would have loved to have the political writer ask her, okay, well, who's racist? Who are you talking about? Is it John McCain? Is it Joe Arpaio? Is it Chuck DeVore? Is it Tom Campbell? Who's a racist here?
Well, Assemblyman, I disagree with both of you here. I think that she was referring to the immigration debate, not necessarily just the Arizona law. And I think, Assemblyman, you have to admit that when you get into this immigration debate, and I've done it for years, so I've seen it all, and you have too, you would have to admit, wouldn't you, that there are some people, a small number, who are motivated, who hide behind the issue of illegal immigration because they don't like immigrants, they don't like darker-skinned people. I mean, that is out there. It is out there.
Well, just like the National Council on La Raza says that everything for the race and nothing outside of the race.
That's right.
That's pretty racist as well.
I agree.
The point, though, is that she's running for the U.S. Senate, and by saying that there's been this racist overtone, she's buying into the left's argument that you better shut up, conservatives, because any discussion of immigration other than a total capitulation and mass amnesty of 13 million people so the Democrats can win elections for the rest of time, anything short of that is racist. And that's the problem. No. That's the problem, in that her beliefs are so fragile that she immediately tries to have it both ways in trying to split the difference between the conservative that she knows she has to run on to win the primary to the moderate that her advisors are telling her that she has to be if she wants a chance at beating Barbara Boxer.
All right. Assemblyman Chuck DeVore, candidate for the United States Senate. The website is chuckdevore.com. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck tomorrow.